Hello, this is Wmpyr. Okay, here to kind of illustrate a frustrating point that probably happens quite a bit in the martial arts world. So, on Twitter, I got a comment, not just a comment, I got a video from one of my subscribers, and this person is a Silat practitioner. Silat is the Indonesian martial art that has a lot of similarities with Filipino martial arts. And it is said to have highly influenced Filipino martial arts. So anyway, on my videos recently, I've really been showing you guys a lot of stuff on the force-to-force block. And in particular, in more recent times, because I've been doing the force-to-force block since 1990, but recently what I've been really focusing on is to make it more realistic, to make it more applicable for today's self-defense. Instead of like using a stick or a knife or some kind of weapon, to be using a defense bag. And the defense bag is, it's like a belt bag, a fanny pack, if you will, or it could be an Indiana Jones style adventure bag. It could also be a crossbody bag. And then for the ladies, it could be like a smaller sized purse. So the idea here is to use the bag in a similar way that we do with the sticks, and to use that to protect ourselves. So the bag basically is an improvised stick. Anyway, so this guy, he saw that and he was like, is this similar? He sent me a video clip of him doing it. And what he was using was, in Indonesia, they have a traditional, like, part of the garment. In Japanese, it's called a salon. And I don't know, that's probably the wrong pronunciation in English or in Indonesian. And I don't know what the proper term is, but it looks like a sash. It is some kind of part of the garment. So you use that. And I've seen it to where they use it to tie up, people's arms and stuff, and do all kinds of cool techniques with it. Maybe you've seen it in some movies and stuff. But anyway, so he uses that in a similar fashion, and then he asked me the question, is it the same idea? And I told him, yes, it's exactly. It is the same idea. You're using that basically, it's like a scarf type of thing, except with a scarf, you have two ends. With this, I believe it connects all the way, so it's a loop. It doesn't separate. So think of a long scarf that just connects all the way. So he's using that, and he's blocking the attack, and he's using it on a kind of like it's not a punching bag, but it's shaped like a person, almost like those grappling bags. So he's demonstrating on that. And I said, yes, but here's a key point. I've tested with my students flexible weapons, because not just hard weapons or not just a bag, flexible weapons is also part of improvised weapons. A flexible weapon is something like this, a baseball hat, or a t-shirt, a chain, some kind of rope. It's something that has a lot of give because it's flexible. So I told him that from my experience with flexible weapons, that it's very, very difficult to do. That's all I said, that it's very difficult to do using that. To stop a knife attack. And that's because when I tested it out with my students, it would give, right? And the students coming in with power and force, and when they do that, it gives, and you're going to get cut, you're going to get stabbed. So that was the reality of what my students and I experienced when we tested it in that controlled environment. Okay, so I can only imagine that in a real life situation, it's going to be even harder because they're going to be coming after you with even more intent, with more ferociousness added to that. Yes, my students came at me hard, but not like ferocious. In real life, they would. So it's going to be a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, and a lot more aggressive. And so, if I got poked this much, you can imagine that it's going to be more. And I'm going to be poked even more, right? And so that's why, it's important to test these things out, right? And he came back and he apparently told his instructor, his Silat teacher or something, and his Silat teacher said that, we're not stopping the knife attack. It's more that we are redirecting it, or I guess they're wrapping up the arm and stuff. So they're doing that. And my response to that was, I can understand that, because seeing some of I'm not a Silat guy, but I've seen the techniques. So from what I've seen, yes, that's what they teach, right? So I get that. But the important part here is that I'm testing this. And so his teacher, to me, missed the point, doesn't get it. And he obviously, to me, doesn't get it. And I don't mean to put them down, but you have to know what's valuable in life. Like let's say you have a friend. You have two friends, right? One friend is a good friend, always there for you. And then another friend he's not really there. His words you can't rely on. He's always flaky, okay? And you're going to treat them the same, then to me you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out. I don't think you don't want to be prejudiced, obviously, or discriminatory, but you should, if something's more valuable, then you should put more effort into it, unless there's some other reason, like this other friend, that they're on the wrong path, but you've known them a long time and you really want to help them get back to the right path, so you're spending extra time on them, something like that. I get it. But if not, why would you treat them equal when one person is clearly going to benefit you more? Both of you will benefit each other, and you go to a higher, better place, So it's kind of like that, I feel like, is they don't understand that, yes, in Filipino martial arts also, and in a lot of traditional martial arts, it's a library. I said traditional martial arts, the best way to explain what is traditional martial arts. It's a freaking library. There's tradition, there's tons of techniques, tons of forms, tons of ideas. That's what traditional martial arts is, because they've had a lot of time to do it and develop it, and they don't have rules necessarily to like in combat sports, you have to stick with the rules, That traditional martial arts is not like that. So it's very wide. But that is their strength, but that is also their weakness. So because you have a million techniques, how do you know which one to work on? How do you know which one should be your bread and butter, and then something else is nice to have in the arsenal, but maybe you shouldn't focus on as much? How do you know these things? You don't. Right? And part of that is because you're supposed to discover it on your own, and everybody's different. Okay, so what works for me may not work for you. So I can understand that. But either way, I flat out said that, hey, the flexible weapons, I said it's extremely difficult. Hint, hint, meaning it's not going to work I wouldn't risk it. Why would you risk the give? Like I said, because it's flexible, it's going to give, and you're going to get stabbed and cut. Why risk that? And I'm telling you, I told the guy that's valuable information, that I'm saying that it's not the same as using something more solid. So that could save lives, or not. It's critical information. It's not just information, it's critical information, right? And then the next part is his instructor said, defending, I wasn't attacking the system, okay? I am not attacking their style. I'm not attacking their technique. But the instructor comes back and says, well, we're not trying to stop a knife attack. We're not trying to block it. We're trying to redirect it, or we're trying to go with it, or whatever the case, right? I'm here to tell you, once again, through actual testing, okay, through actual testing, and maybe it's not full contact, but it's a lot more than, clearly to me, probably, I don't know, but my guess is probably a lot more than what they've done. I don't think they've tested their stuff. I could be wrong, but from what they're telling, they wouldn't have answers like this. Is that redirecting is more advanced, meaning it's harder to pull off. It's harder to pull off, okay? That's another gold. 2 golds I'm dropping off right there. Okay, 2 things that could save your life. 2 things that could make or break whether you're going to survive or not. Okay, so if you go in with the mindset that, oh, I could block just like the way Wmpyr was showing against this knife attack, I could use that with my, Salon or whatever it's called. I could do that. I'm saying no, and so you go try it. Good luck. You're probably going to get cut when it could have been avoided. If you had picked something different, harder, you would have been a much better chance. And now because you picked a flexible thing, now you're in trouble. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is, okay, I can redirect with it. Redirecting is very, very difficult. So you try to redirect, it's not going to happen. And then what you going to do? You have to go back to something like the force-to-force block, which is more basic. You have to go back. The equivalent, I could tell you, is like an uppercut in boxing. You could knock out someone with an uppercut. You see Mike Tyson do it, and you go, I'm going to practice the uppercut. So you practice the uppercut. You practice. You feel good with the uppercut, and you go, I have a really good uppercut. You get into a fight. Your uppercut, you don't have an opportunity for it. It never, you could never make the opportunity happen, and the opponent doesn't give you the opportunity for the uppercut to happen. So you can't use it. Instead, if you had been working your jab, right? If you had been practicing your jab, your basics, that jab could have created an opportunity for an uppercut. The jab alone may have been able to use the jab and then survive. So this is what I'm telling you. The force-to-force block is your jab. It is a much more basic. It's not as good as an uppercut that can potentially finish an opponent, but it's better than an uppercut in a way that you're going to be using it a lot more frequently. So that's what I want to say about the force-to-force block compared to like a redirecting block, or a blending in block. So I just wish that these 2 people, the instructor and this person, could understand that. And to me, they're just like, no, our style's this. To me, it's a closed mind. So I told him that, that this is a much more basic kind of thing, and that moving around something is a very difficult thing. But I didn't want to be rude, so I said something along the lines of traditional martial arts that's humanity's treasure. That's knowledge and development that has been passed along from generation to generation. That is our treasure, okay? But if we want to use that treasure, we have to customize it to fit us, to fit yourself. And then he wrote back basically saying that his teacher had gone and taught the military, so he started in traditional, but then because he taught military, he evolved it for that. and made it realistic and combat effective or whatever. And so he wants to understand his teacher's teachings, and he's going to stick with that, something along those lines. And I was like, wow, it's just really sad to me that to me he doesn't get it. He missed the point right there. If he, I hope there's still, he's not locked in because he's a human being. But to me right now he sounds brainwashed. He could study his teacher's method and try to understand it as best as possible, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But if he just sticks with that, once again, I got to go back to that quote where the clone will never be as good as the original. And that's not because, what the clone does can't be better. In fact, it could totally be better, but the clone doesn't understand how to develop things. The originator does, because they created something that didn't exist before. They are the originators. They are the founders. They created something new. And the clone is just learning something that the originator already created. So, yes, they could probably take that to an even higher level. But as far as making something new, they don't have that. And that is what's needed to adapt and overcome against new problems. So that's why they say that. And so I'm hoping that this guy maybe would get that. Maybe he's just not at the level to comprehend what I'm saying. And like I said, I got nothing against traditional martial arts or nothing against his style or his system. It's just unfortunate to me that people sometimes they don't understand. And I've been teaching on my YouTube channel for a long time, and I see people. Obviously, at YouTube here is a popularity contest, so they're gonna go to a person that is, a jacked person, or physically looks impressive, or the technique looks impressive, or they're filming in an impressive location, or their editing is impressive, and those are the videos that are going to get more views, and they're going to be more popular, and that's just inevitable. And I'm not here to play that game, and so the game that I'm here to play is material, and I'm hoping that people still watch my stuff to this day, and I've been on here since 2006, and I'm hoping that's because the material that I'm presenting and the way that I'm presenting it is to some people makes sense, and they can see the value in it. So I will keep doing this because I myself believe that there is value in it, and I think it's important, especially in today's world where there's a lot of stuff out there that there's no substance to what they're doing. It's just all flash, or it's all on the surface, So the key points that I'm trying to bring up is you have to test this stuff out. And when you do test this stuff out, that's not the end. That test alone can have a lot of holes. That idea that you have, which is at that point still just a hypothesis, can still have a lot of holes. So you're just working on that constantly, and I'm presenting it to you guys. And anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.